You know, they say Bryce Canyon isn't actually a canyon, it's true. It's a series of natural amphitheaters. Imagine that, giant bowls carved into the earth, filled with the most peculiar rock formations you've ever seen. They call them hoodoos, these strange and wonderful towers of rock. It's like something out of a dream, this place. You could wander for days, lost in the maze of hoodoos and never see the same thing twice. Now, you might be wondering how in the world something like this could happen. How does nature just decide to create something so bizarre and beautiful? Well, it's a long story. Millions of years in the making. It all starts with erosion, the slow and steady wear and tear of wind, water, and ice. Layer by layer, these elements chipped away at the rock, sculpting the hoodoos we see today. It's not just the hoodoos that make Bryce Canyon special, though. It's the whole package, the colors, the silence, the sheer scale of it all. The rock formations glow with shades of red, orange, and pink, especially as the sun starts to set. It's like the whole canyon is on fire. And the silence, except for the occasional bird call or the whisper of the wind, it's incredibly peaceful. You can just stand there, surrounded by the hoodoos, and feel your worries melt away. But here's the thing about Bryce Canyon. It's always changing. Slowly, almost imperceptibly. The forces of erosion are still at work, reshaping the landscape. So, every time you visit, you're seeing something unique, a snapshot in time. It makes you realize how small we are and how powerful nature can be. And that, my friends, is a humbling thought. Now let's talk about these hoodoos, because they're really something else. They're these tall, skinny spires of rock, some of them reaching heights of over 200 feet. It's like someone took a giant cookie cutter and carved out all these crazy shapes. You've got hoodoos that look like castles, hoodoos that look like faces, even hoodoos that look like, well, you can use your imagination. The thing is, no two hoodoos are exactly alike. Each one has its own unique shape, its own personality, you might say. And they're constantly changing too. A bit of wind here, a bit of rain there, and before you know it, you've got a whole new set of hoodoos to admire. They're like nature's own work of art, constantly being sculpted and reshaped. And then there are the amphitheaters. These are the massive, bowl-shaped depressions in the earth that give Bryce Canyon its unique character. They're so big you can fit a whole city in some of them. The most famous one is called the Bryce Amphitheater, and it's truly a sight to behold. Just imagine standing on the rim, looking out over this vast expanse of hoodoos, all bathed in the golden light of the setting sun. It's enough to take your breath away. But here's the thing about the amphitheaters, they're not just pretty to look at. They also play an important role in the park's ecosystem. The way they're shaped creates all sorts of different microclimates, which allows for a surprising diversity of plants and animals to thrive. So you've got everything from ponderosa pines to prickly pear cacti growing in the park, all thanks to these incredible geological formations. Now, you can't talk about Bryce Canyon without talking about the people who have called this place home for centuries. Long before the first European settlers arrived, Native American tribes were drawn to the area. The Paiute people in particular have a deep connection to the land. They believed the hoodoos were actually the legend people, turned to stone by a coyote god. Imagine that, looking at the hoodoos and seeing not just rock formations, but ancient beings frozen in time. The Paiute people lived in harmony with the land, using its resources wisely. They hunted game, gathered plants, and told stories about the spirits that inhabited the canyon. Their presence is still felt today in the names of places, the remnants of their campsites, and the stories passed down through generations. Then came the Europeans. The first one to lay eyes on Bryce Canyon was a Mormon pioneer named Ebenezer Bryce. He arrived in the 1870s looking to establish a homestead. Can you imagine being the first outsider to see this place, this wonderland of rock? He famously said the canyon was a hell of a place to lose a cow. And you know what? He wasn't wrong. It's rugged and unforgiving, this landscape. But it's also incredibly beautiful, and Bryce eventually settled nearby. It wasn't long before word got out about the wonders of Bryce Canyon. More settlers arrived, followed by tourists, drawn by the promise of adventure and breathtaking scenery. The area was designated a national monument in 1923, and later became a national park in 1928. And the rest, as they say, is history. Now you might think a place as dry and rugged as Bryce Canyon wouldn't be home to much in the way of wildlife, but you'd be wrong. Despite the harsh conditions, the park is teeming with life. It's really quite remarkable. You've got over 100 species of birds, 70 species of mammals, and countless reptiles, amphibians, and insects all making a go of it in this unlikely paradise. Take the Clark's nutcracker, for example. This clever bird is a master at hiding seeds, stashing them away for later in the nooks and crannies of the hoodoos. It's amazing they can remember where they put them all. And then there's the pika, a small furry creature that looks like a cross between a rabbit and a mouse. They're always busy gathering food, even in the heat of the day, and their high-pitched calls echo through the canyons. And let's not forget the plants, from the hardy bristlecone pines, some of the oldest living organisms on Earth, to the delicate wildflowers that bloom in the spring. The park is a botanist's dream. They've adapted to survive in this arid environment, withstanding scorching summers and freezing winters. It's a testament to the tenacity of life, really. But it's not just the individual species that are fascinating, it's how they all interact, forming a complex web of life. The birds rely on the insects for food, the insects pollinate the plants, and so on. It's a delicate balance and one that's worth protecting. After all, we're all connected, humans and nature alike. Now, I know what you're thinking. With all this beauty, surely people are doing everything they can to protect Bryce Canyon, right? Well, the good news is, yes, they are. The National Park Service works tirelessly to preserve this natural wonder for generations to come. It's a big job, but someone's got to do it. One of the biggest challenges is dealing with the impact of visitors. Millions of people come to Bryce Canyon every year, and all those footsteps can take a toll on the fragile ecosystem. So the Park Service has strict rules in place to minimize our impact. Things like staying on designated trails, packing out everything you pack in, and respecting the wildlife are all crucial. But it's not just about enforcing rules. Education is also key. The Park Service offers all sorts of programs and activities to teach visitors about the importance of conservation. They want people to leave Bryce Canyon not just with amazing memories, but with a deeper appreciation for the natural world. And it's not just up to the Park Service. We all have a role to play in protecting places like Bryce Canyon. Whether it's reducing our carbon footprint, supporting conservation organizations, or simply spreading the word about the importance of protecting our planet, every little bit helps. Remember, we're all in this together. You know, I've been to a lot of amazing places in my life, but there's something truly special about Bryce Canyon. It's a place that stays with you long after you've left. Maybe it's the sheer scale of it all, the way the hoodoos seem to stretch on forever. Or maybe it's the silence, the way you can hear your own heartbeat in the stillness. Whatever it is, Bryce Canyon has a way of reminding you of the power and beauty of the natural world. It's a place where you can feel small and insignificant, but also strangely connected to something much larger than yourself. It's a place that inspires awe and wonder, and that's something we could all use a little more of in our lives. So, if you ever get the chance to visit Bryce Canyon, do it. Take your time, explore the trails, and let the beauty of the place wash over you. And when you leave, take a little piece of that wonder with you. Share it with your friends, your family, your neighbors. Remind them that there's still magic to be found in the world, if only we know where to look. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, it will inspire them to do their part to protect it.